Hey there guys, welcome back to a brand new Flick Pick live show. This is it, don't get scared now. And as usual, you guys get to decide what we talk about. Whatever your questions are, that's the topics of the show. Because, well, that's your freedom, that's your right. Thank you guys so much for joining me once again. It's Saturday night, I have nothing better to do, and I hope you don't either. But the only thing I do hope that you have is some popcorn, something salty, something sweet to eat, and a delicious, tasty, caffeinated beverage. Okay, so with all that said, I had some technical issues right before the live show, and I was like frantically trying to figure it out, but it looks like it's working. I think the audio sounds good. If it doesn't, well, we'll just, maybe I can figure out how to do sign language or something. So I think it's working. Yeah, okay, it looks good to me. All right. So yeah, how are you guys doing? It's Saturday night. Look at that, and we're just hanging out. All right. Trying to find the questions here. Like I said, it's had some technical issues, but I think I got it sorted out. I think it's working. Okay. All right, the first one comes from Azim the Dream Reviews. John, do you have any tips on paying off student loans? You're talking to the wrong guy. You are talking to the worst person on the internet you could ever talk to about that. But let's continue on with the question. Do you feel it would come down to more sources of income? How do you go about dealing with it? Also, what was it like starting off in college in general? Because I'm moving to college next week. I will just say, if you are going to school, that is great. It definitely will open up more opportunities down the road, depending on what you're going to school for. If you know exactly what you want to do, well, go pay for it and do it. For me, when it came to college student loans, I'm still paying on some of them. For a few years after school, I deferred my loans because I didn't want to pay them. And I was having a difficult time finding a job in the field that I went to school for. So, yeah, I'm still sort of paying on them. I don't like it. I hate it. Every time I pay the money, I'm like, this is for nothing. I wasn't very happy with my college education, to say the least. I just feel like I literally went there to get a piece of paper. As far as the educational aspect, I feel like I sort of figured it out on my own at home, on my own time. But good luck with school, man. As far as paying it off, do the minimum every month, or unless you can afford it, pay it off immediately, because interest will kill you. The next one comes from Matthew. If you were on the writer on season 8 Game of Thrones, what would you have done? If I was a writer, So first of all, the thing that's really frustrating about Game of Thrones season 8 was HBO went to them and they're like, listen, this doesn't have to be the last season. We have more money. We can give you a few more seasons. Take your time. We don't mind. And they're like, yeah, you know what? Let's just wrap this shit up. It's been 8 years. I don't really care anymore. Rather than have this nice, complex character development storyline that we've been weaving and alluding to and slowly building to, with the Night Walkers finally having an encounter, we'll just cram all that shit in a few episodes and then brand the king. Just so awful. So what would I have done? I would have went for another season, at least one more season. I would have probably actually had a payoff for all these storylines, especially like you had the Night King and then you had Jon Snow. Look what happened. They barely even had an encounter. They looked at each other from 800 feet away, and then the Night King just kept going. Like, that's it? That's the showdown of the whole season? Okay, that was so yeah, I don't know. It just felt like they were trying to wrap it up as soon and as quickly as they possibly could. And even that, the final battle sequence, like, no one important died. I would have had like half the people just dead. That's what I would have done. If this is the last season, I'm killing everybody. So anyway, and then don't get me started. Don't get me started on the final 2 episodes. I just can't do it. But yeah, I would have went for another season or 2. Winners at the Prom Queen. Would you rather spend a whole live stream, A, answering questions about Amber, or B, doing Christopher Walken impressions? How about doing Christopher Walken impressions? Wes Pappas? All right, Wes. Hey, John. How long have you been an Ice 9 Kills fan? I'm not really I watched their music video relating to American Psycho, and that's about it. That's as far as my fandom goes with that group. I like their music. I don't really listen to them, I guess. I don't know. Yeah. And by the way, before we continue on, if you guys are Patreon supporters or YouTube members, we are shooting a brand new episode of the podcast, which is exclusively on for YouTube members and Patreon supporters. So yeah, if you guys had questions, look out for that new post that I just put out a few days ago. And that's where we go in detail and depth with questions and answers and anything that you guys want us to talk about, we dive into. So yeah, look out for that post. I put it out a few days ago if you guys wanted to get your questions in on there. All right, let's continue on. James Doshier says, "Hey John, what are your thoughts on the Jumanji movies? I got the films on 4K and looking forward to seeing them." I like the original with Robin Williams. I love that. As far as the new ones go with The Rock and Kevin Hart, I think they're okay. They're like easy, consumable, rainy day movies that you watch once and you don't really ever go back to because they just don't quite have enough substance. At least for me, they don't. And I love The Rock. He sort of just plays The Rock every movie he's in. And then Kevin Hart's just like, "I'm Kevin Hart, look at me." And then I like when Jack Black acts like a teenage girl. That sounds completely weird, but I do. But yeah, as far as those movies go, never my favorite. But the original, Robin Williams, that has heart. That has everything I'm looking for sort of in a movie. And I remember seeing that in theaters as a kid. So I would say if you got that on 4K, that's a good one. Brevins, Flicks, and Games. "Hey, John, I didn't mean to confuse you last time. I said I was doing a video on Spider-Man from 2002, and I will soon do one for the Suicide Squad as well." Well, good luck with those videos, Brevin. I don't think I was confused. I thought I comprehended what you were saying last time. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. Sometimes when I start reading these questions, I feel really discombobulated. Sometimes I forget where I'm at, and I just stare into this bright light, and I'm like, I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore, but I just keep making noises. And by the way, I'm sort of getting the Flick Cave together. I got my movies on my shelf back there. I have 2 shelves back there. There's one you can't see in the corner over there. But I actually finally, I don't want to give this away. It's part of a video coming up, but I got rid of a lot of movies. And I assure you, they were movies I don't watch. I probably haven't watched. And they were just there for like props in the background. So that might be part of a new Flick Trip video coming. But yeah, it's coming together. It's still a mess, but it's getting better. Jack Leem says, "Thoughts on Promising Young Woman? I never got around to seeing it. I've heard it was pretty good. I just never got a chance to see it. I requested the Blu-ray or the 4K Blu-ray, and it never showed up. So, it's one of those movies that's sort of on the to-do or to-watch list, and I just have not got around to watching it. But I will say this week I did see Don't Breathe 2, and I just saw Free Guy last night. I'm probably going to make like a review for both of them, like a quick mini review. I just did not have time today. But yeah, those are the last 2 movies I saw. Aneurysm Fun. I think I said that correctly. Keeping Two-Face alive for the main villain role in The Dark Knight Rises, yay or nay? For me, I was sort of happy Harvey Dent died in The Dark Knight. I didn't think there was much more you could really do with him as a villain. It's like, how can a guy with half of a face burnt off in this grounded in reality superhero flick really survive more than a few days looking like this? I thought for what he had, the way he was, just with his injuries that he got, I just felt like that his character only had a very limited amount of time to really do anything within the story. Now, had they dragged his character out and just established him as Harvey Dent in The Dark Knight, where he doesn't have his accident, or maybe he has his accident at the very end of the movie, and then nothing else happens with this character, he's just in a hospital or losing his mind. He doesn't actually get up from the hospital bed and, kidnap James Gordon's family. I think maybe you could have carried that into The Dark Knight Rises. But for me, Harvey Dent was never one of my favorite characters. I was sort of happy we got Bane when we did. Now, originally, the plan was to have the Joker carried on into the Dark Knight Rises and do something more with his character, which that would have instantly made The Dark Knight Rises probably better. But I was happy with the villain that we got of Bane. I still say, and they still stand by this, they say they didn't change anything with the ending of The Dark Knight, but I still have this weird thing where I feel like they did. There was something very abrupt about The Dark Knight when Harvey Dent kidnaps James Gordon's kids and then just falls to his death, and then Batman takes off. Something about that just felt like they changed or tweaked something due to Heath Ledger passing away. That's my theory. I know no one's confirmed that. Something about the way it wraps up just felt like so abrupt to me. But I could be wrong. The next one comes from Carter Lovejoy. Besides T2, what are some other films that have bad 4K Blu-rays? Oh, man, I try to stay away from them. I'm trying to think. There's been a few transfers. I think Forrest Gump. Now, I watched the 4K once, and I wouldn't say it's a bad 4K transfer. I wouldn't say it's bad. I just think it's a little too clean. It's a little glossy. From my recent memory, that's what I remember most about that transfer. It just looks a little too cleaned up. By the way, I went to Universal Studios a few days, like last week, and I was on the plane, and on the plane they have this entertainment center in front of you where you can watch all the movies that you want. And I rewatched Forrest Gump for probably the 128th time. And that movie it never gets old to me. So timeless, so perfect. So yeah, I'm trying to think of some other 4K. If you guys have some bad 4K transfers that you guys know of, let me know in the comments right here, and I'll try to dive into a few of them. I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but other than the most disappointing one, I always say, is T2 Judgment Day. Like, I can't think of a worse transfer for a great movie. Like, the Blu-ray honestly looks better. Michael Parton says, Free Guy is going to make $26 million at the box office thanks to the premium access on Disney+. Ooh, yeah, I forgot. Is Free Guy on Disney+? I sort of forgot that Disney owned the rights to that. Because it was a Fox movie, then Disney bought Fox, and then the rights went to Disney, right? I sort of forgot. Yeah, you can tell Free Guy, and if that's the case, I'm not going to spoil anything, but at the very end of Free Guy, you can tell they definitely got some rights to some Disney properties. That's all I'm going to say. Wolf of Wall Street is coming to 4K in December. I need that shit. Please give me that. But as far as Free Guy goes, I liked it. I thought it was okay. It sort of felt like it didn't want to end. And I was like, just end. I don't care anymore. And there was like a few contrived forced love stories that you just don't give a shit about. But other than that, it was fun. Haloom says, hey, John, I decided to post my first movie review and I want to do lifting videos as well. Do you recommend consolidating all videos on one channel or splitting them into two channels? Thanks, man. And thank you for the question, Haloom. I would say when it comes to consolidating content on one channel, and I figured this out a long time ago, you don't want to throw too much variety on one channel. So if you're going to talk about movies on one channel and then you throw like working out into that same channel, that confuses people, because if you make 10 review videos and people are like, oh, this guy reviews movies, okay, subscribe. And then all of a sudden you're like lifting weights in the next video. People are like, what is this? I don't know what to do with this. So sometimes subscribers on YouTube can be very fickle. They just want all of the same on one place. So what I did, and maybe I would recommend this to you if you want to do like workout videos and like movie videos, is I would make a separate channel. And that's why I made the John Flickinger channel, because this is sort of like just my vloggy whatever channel where I can just do whatever I want. And hopefully you guys are like, oh, okay, I understand. He's a fucking weirdo, but I that's what I'm here for. With the Flickpick channel, I always try to stay movies. Just everything has to be movies. So I would probably recommend splitting those two things up. The next one comes from Jalen Martin. Hey, John, I'm at a grad party. Well, drink some liquor and have a good time, man. I haven't been to a grad party in like 15 years. High school or college? Either way, it's been a long time. Sano says, any thoughts on Ridley Scott's The Last Duel? I definitely want to check it out. Huge Ridley Scott fan, even though he's a hit or miss. I like the cast in the film. The story itself is really interesting, but from everything I've heard of early reports, it's sort of one of those movies that you think it's going to be a big spectacle, sort of like an epic time period movie, and it's not that. It's not what the trailers are making it look. It's definitely sort of almost a small screen movie where you could just watch it at home. That's what I've heard, but I am intrigued to check it out. Kevin Litchford, thoughts on Batman 89. The film was watched on rewind every day when I was a child. Well, you know what, Kevin? Me and you share the same soul, because when I was a kid, I used to watch that movie on VHS over and over. It actually got stuck in my VCR one time. I think I tried to get it out with a pencil, and then the pencil broke in half. I was a stupid kid. So anyway, I do remember the trailer, the opening Warner Brothers trailer with Daffy Duck in the beginning of Batman 89 on VHS. And it's like, do you want to join the Warner Brothers fan club? Sign up here. I submit it to P.O. Box 109. Like, that's my Daffy Duck impression. I know, not very good. I'm still working on it. But I remember that trailer so vividly. So anyway, yeah, I used to watch that shit all the time. Just JDD24, what's up, John? What do you think is the best debut starring performance by any actor in a movie? Whew, man. I don't, well, it's not, I don't know. I'm trying to think of like a debut performance. Like the first time the actor was in an actual film, because most actors went from TV to film. So it's hard to like say, oh, they weren't a good actor. I don't know, like Michael J. Fox went from like more or less doing like a sitcom to Back to the Future. Leonardo DiCaprio went from doing like Growing Pains to like starring in some good movies in the early 90s, like The Basketball Diaries. He was in a few others. God, I mean, that's a tough question. I'm trying to think of like another actor who just instantly showed up on the scene and was like a great performer. Man, someone name a few actors. I'm trying to think, like someone that just showed up out of nowhere. I mean, I can definitely say it wasn't Sam Worthington when he showed up in Avatar for the first time, because that guy can't fucking act. So yeah, I'm trying to think. Huh. I'll let you guys chime in the comments over here if you guys have some thoughts. I mean, if you look at like Ryan Gosling, he went from doing like young Hercules bullshit movies to like being like a great actor. So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of someone else though. Here's one, Matthew McConaughey. That dude went from just being a dude in college to getting a role in Dazed and Confused, and then like his career took off. And he made some shitty like rom-com movies for sure, but like what was it, like Ed TV or whatever that bullshit was. But I'd say Matthew McConaughey was one guy who just showed up out of nowhere. Tom Hardy with Bronson. What else? Matt Damon. Yeah. Matt Damon especially. Yeah. Just like Good Will Hunting. Like it just popped out of nowhere. Michael Parton says, I wish Chris Stuckman could do live Q&As like you. Yeah, I don't know, man. I've told him to do things like that. He doesn't like doing the live thing or something. I don't know what it is. Even when I don't know what it is. I think he likes to be in complete control of what he's doing. And sometimes with a live Q&A, you never know what you're going to get. Live Q&As are like a box of chocolates. Sometimes one of those chocolates might explode in your eyeballs and blind you for the rest of your life. I don't know why chocolates just turn into explosive devices in that analogy, but they did. Winners at the Prom Queen, would you ever consider doing an in-person ticketed live stream at a venue? I don't know how many tickets would sell to that shit. Maybe 3. And I'd have to give 2 of them away. I mean, that sounds like a good time. I did one time consider doing I was going to do like a fan meetup at like a movie theater, and I was going to rent out one of the movie theater venues and like play like, I don't know, like a classic movie or something, and then have like a fan meetup of like a capacity of like 100 or 200 people. It just seemed like a really big undertaking to maybe accomplish that. And I didn't know how many people would show up, because like, unless I have that in LA or something, like how many people actually are going to live in the vicinity to come. So I've thought about it. I wouldn't be opposed to it, that's for sure. Dark Moonlight Entertainment says, "Hey John, workout tips for getting lean and shredded. What's your workout routine looking like these days? Keep up the great work." I just started. I didn't work out for almost a couple of years. So I just started getting back into the gym, and I'm just doing what I always have. I just do. I focus on like I superset all of my workouts. I do like a back day, an arm day, a shoulder day. Sometimes I do a leg day, but they never grow. And then there's some days where I just do everything. You know, it just kind of, I go by feel. And as far as like getting shredded, it's definitely a diet. You work out, you diet. You want to stay lean and mean if you want to get shredded. So you got to watch your carbs. You got to watch what you eat. Just eat clean, work out. Avoid sugars because that just bloats you. You know, it's not that complicated. You know, don't let anyone ever tell you working out's complicated. It's not. You just go in there and lift heavy shit, and you get a routine down, and then once you figure out what you're doing, you just stick with it. And you don't eat too many Sour Patch Kids. Middle Mandez says, Friday the 13th movie? Oh, favorite Friday the 13th movie. My favorite Friday the 13th film might be... My guilty pleasure is always the second half of Jason Takes Manhattan. I know it's a terrible abomination, and the first half of the movie has nothing to do with Manhattan. It's filmed on some shitty little boat. But when he finally shows up in Manhattan, which they actually filmed in Toronto, Canada, I sort of enjoy it. I laugh a lot. But I will say my favorite probably is the one with young Corey Feldman. What Friday the 13th is that? I always forget. It's 4, 5, 4? God, I forget which number that is. The one with young Corey Feldman as Tommy. Carter Lovejoy says, any plans to open up a new P.O. box anytime soon? Yeah, I might. I'm going to look into it. Once I open it up, I want to be able to commit to like opening all of the packages and going there and getting the boxes and then dedicating a time to recording them. So yeah, and I think if I ever do it again, I probably will just do like a live stream unboxing of it, which could either go really good or really bad. Because if some weird shit shows up in that box and I whip it out on camera, it's there forever. So that's the fear factor with doing a live PO box unboxing with fan mail. But yeah, I might open up another PO box at some point very soon. Benny says, how was the Florida trip? Yeah, so I went to Universal Studios last week. I did it for a sponsored video, but I also did it to have some fun as well. I went for these, there's these new shoes, and they're made by Reebok, but they're Jurassic Park themed shoes. They're pretty awesome, I'm not gonna lie. So I had to go there and film some promo stuff. So you guys will see that hopefully soon within the next week or two. So yeah, it was a fun time. Universal was fun. I haven't been there in almost a decade, and I liked the new Harry Potter ride. It's like a roller coaster where you get on like a motorcycle with a sidecar. It's really fun. I will say one of the worst rides at Universal Studios, though, is the Transformers ride. It's essentially just like the Spider-Man ride, but with like Optimus Prime. It's sort of boring. Like you're just watching it and you're like, this is. It just feels like someone's like behind you shaking you like this. And you're watching Optimus Prime fly around. I'm on my way. Like, I'm just like, I don't give a shit about this. So anyway, that was one ride I do not recommend you go on. But it was really fun, nevertheless. I spent most of my time at the Jurassic Park area over at Islands of Adventure, which was super packed. And when we went, keep in mind, I was filming like stuff, taking pictures of these shoes, trying to like make like a little like funny skit. And it was like 95 degrees, 190% humidity. It was packed. I mean, super packed. And it was just like, I was drenched in sweat within like 10 minutes. I was like, oh my God. Where's Jeff Goldblum when you need him? Rando Commando 41 says, hey John, I've had a bad day. Tell me a joke. I'll say the same joke someone told me once on a live stream, and they said, what do you call Batman who leaves church? Christian Bale. I always remembered that joke. I don't know why. But I hope your day gets better, man. I hope I can help it. I hope I can make your bad day either worse or slightly better. I like to say if you're seeing me, you're having the worst day of your life. All right, the next one comes from James Dozier. Favorite Robin Williams film of all time? For me, I pick Good Will Hunting. Well, when it comes to Robin Williams films, he's made so many. He's made some like sort of depressing movies, like What Dreams May Come, I believe, and that was sort of depressing, made me almost have an existential midlife crisis. He's also made other depressing films like Jack. I find the film Jack highly depressing, super depressing. But I would say for me, my favorite Robin Williams movie of all time would probably be I'm going to go with Hook. I will probably say Hook. I think that's the best of everything Robin Williams has to offer. It's fun, it's over the top, it's magical, it's mystical. And he also gets to act in the movie. And when I want to like remember Robin Williams and the good times of him as like an actor or just a person, that's like the movie I would probably go to. That is my happy place movie. Bryce says, "Hey John, I was wondering if you were familiar with the Wheel of Time series. It's a great fantasy book series, and the TV show for Amazon Prime comes out in November. Starring Rosamund Pike, seems very promising. Might fill the Game of Thrones void." I don't know anything about that. That sounds intriguing, though. So it's like a fantastical book series. Okay. Is it made for young adults? Please say no. Yeah, I'm going to look into that. What's it called? The Wheel of Time. Okay. I'm still waiting to see the some snippets from the new I just forgot what it's called. Oh, Lord of the Rings show. I'm still curious to see how that turns out, because I think they had like a budget of $1 billion, which is utterly insane, but I'm hoping it turns out good. Gaber says, "How often can you handle White Castle?" You know, nowadays I've become a little bit picky with what I eat. Like, so like I typically eat in a week, I eat like 90% chicken sandwiches. When it comes to White Castle, I just know that's going to fuck me up. So I try to avoid it. So I have not eaten White Castle in probably 15 years. And I don't really have any urge to eat White Castle or like Taco Bell. So not very often. Oh, hi, Mark. Did you ever see Go? Ensemble cast, Katie Holmes, Sarah Polley, Jay Moore, etc. It does that out of order sequence thing with scenes. It's pretty decent flick. The movie Go, I vaguely remember the cover to it. I don't think I've ever watched it. Katie Holmes starring in a movie has never really sold me on like needing to go see that movie. I know of it. I've just never watched the movie Go. And to be honest with you, I probably never will. But but with all that said, today I did watch the Fast and Furious Tokyo Drift. Yeah. Why? I don't know. It's a guilty pleasure movie. I like watching it. I like Han in the movie. I think it's terribly miscast. I could give a shit less about the main character in the movie. Little Bow Wow's in it. It has all these awful, atrocious things going for it, but for some odd reason, it just takes me to a happy mid-2000s place. So yeah, that's what I watched today. All right, the next one comes from Michael Parton. Did you know that Howard the Duck was the first Marvel movie, also one of the worst films I've seen? Yeah, Howard the Duck is an interesting film to say the least, for a multitude of reasons. First of all, they thought that was going to be a huge blockbuster success. They thought that was like the next big thing. And then they spent like $1 million. I think they spent at least $1 million or multiple millions of dollars on that duck suit. And keep in mind, this is a duck who's like out meeting women, hooking up. It's just like bizarre and creepy and scary. It's all these different things like combined into one movie. And they truly thought they had a hit on their hands. And boy, were they misguided. Yeah, I haven't seen Howard the Duck in a long time. I sort of want to go back and revisit it, though. The Archinator 22. Hey, John. I'm wondering, what are some of your most underrated movies? Some of mine are Blow, Hellboy 2, Don't Breathe, and Cujo. Hope you have a great night. Well, thanks for the question, man. Some of my most underrated movies, I would say, I always think Troy never got the credit that it truly deserved. You said Blow. I think Blow is also another phenomenal movie. Hellboy 2, it's not one of those movies for me that aged well. Don't Breathe, I watched once, and then I saw the sequel the other day, and I thought the sequel was really bad. Cujo was always a fun movie. A few other underrated films. Master and Commander, I would say, is probably one of the most underrated films I've seen that I like and enjoy more every time I watch it, and no one talks about it, no one references it, and it's so well made. It's a spectacle movie, it's a time period movie, it's so well acted, and it's a smart man's movie. So I would say, like, out of all the movies I can think of off the top of my head, I would say Master Commander is one of the most underrated films of all time. And if you are a fan of cinema, please go watch it. I think you will enjoy it. Adam Clay says, ever see Free Jack with Emilio Estevez, Anthony Hopkins, came out in the 90s. For some reason, that sounds very familiar. But when it comes to Emilio Estevez movies, there's a lot of movies that he's made that no one talks about. So let's do that for a minute. There's another movie with Emilio Estevez. It's called Men at Work with Charlie Sheen, where they play garbage men who witness a crime. There's another movie with... and here's a fun rainy day movie to watch if you've never seen it. It's called Judgment Night with Emilio Estevez. It has Jeremy Piven in the movie. Dennis Leary plays like a villain. And it's where these suburban guys are in an RV. They get off on the wrong exit, the wrong side of town, and they get stuck in this like all-night fiasco where they're like running for their lives. It's sort of fun. It's a little bit weird. It's definitely just one of those movies that was instantly forgotten, but go watch Judgment Night if you're really bored one day. Brevins, Flicks, and Games. Long story short, I absolutely agree with you on King Shark. Stole the movie. I loved the character. Ratcatcher 2 was the heart of the film, I thought. Yeah, I will say at first I was like, I don't give a shit about this chick who like controls rats. And I guess I could say that going into the film, I didn't really care about any of the characters. But she was the heart of the film. I did enjoy her character by the end. King Shark was phenomenal. I really enjoyed King Shark. I thought they could have done a little bit more with him, like just going like berserker mode and like just destroying shit throughout the movie. My favorite character was Peacemaker with John Cena, and I never thought I would say that, but it was. I like characters like that. So, and he actually looks like a superhero. Like John Cena looks like his arms look like bloated hot dogs that are veiny. So yeah, I mean, I did enjoy it for the most part, except for the second act. I will say though, I didn't care about Harley Quinn in the movie at all. And I believe if I read some articles that were accurate, James Gunn actually was obligated to use Harley Quinn. He originally had no plans to. And when you watch the movie, it almost feels like the movie could have been made without Harley Quinn. She sort of just felt tacked in there. Surprisingly Tender says, been watching since 2014. Well, thank you. I do Muay Thai instead of going back to the gym post-COVID. You should do martial arts, John. Become who you are born to be. I'll just be a guy who does dumbbell curls in the gym. I don't know if I'm into like Muay Thai or karate or kung fu or any of the martial arts. I mean, MMA is intriguing to me, but I don't really have any use for it, to be honest with you. But that's cool, man. Congrats. I just like to go to the gym and listen to music. I lift some stuff and then I leave. After I sit in the sauna with old men who have their balls dangling out. Hagulera 1723 says, hey John, will you be getting Inglourious Basterds on 4K this fall season? There's a lot of Tarantino movies I'd like to get on 4K, like Pulp Fiction. I would definitely like The Hateful Eight. No, I have The Hateful Eight. Do I have The Hateful Eight on 4K? Is that on 4K? I think I do. I don't know if I do. I would love if Nightcrawler came out on 4K. I have Once Upon a Time in Hollywood on 4K. Django Unchained isn't on 4K. I know that for a fact. I want that on 4K. That's what I want. So probably I will buy it. Billy M says, my son dislikes Stand By Me. What? I looked at him and said, I've always hated you. I wanted the dead kid, Ray Bauer, to be my son. Am I a bad father? No, you are not. And if your offspring cannot appreciate the film Stand By Me, Disassociate immediately. Get rid of them. Drive your son out to the country, push him out of the car, give him a turkey sandwich and say, be gone. He'll find his way, or at least he can follow the train tracks home. Maybe that'll make him a better kid. Dude, Stand By Me is the quintessential movie. That is the best coming-of-age film ever. That and The Sandlot. Sonic Blu-ray says, did you ride the Velocicoaster? I loved that. That's the one ride I wanted to ride, and I just did not get to it because we were going to it, and it closed earlier than it should have the night. We were there till closing, and it closed early, slightly before closing time. So we got to ride everything except for that. That was the one ride I wanted to ride. That's the only big disappointment. But I did go on the Hulk coaster, which is a pretty fun time. James Doshier says, T2 on 4K is super cheap on Amazon, like $7 or $9. It should be fucking free. It should come with if you go to any place and buy a beverage, the T2 4K Blu-ray should be like a coaster that they give you to put your beverage on. It's useless. It's utter garbage. It's a waste of plastic. It's a waste of resources. Everyone behind the film that produced it, allowed it to happen, the people who color graded it, James Cameron himself, who said, okay, this is what I want, put this out on an optical disc, should be ashamed of themselves. It's a crime against humanity. It makes me sick to my stomach. Next question. Get me worked up here. The next one comes from Brevins Flicks and Games. Chris with you for a Q&A would be pure gold. I mean, Chris has joined me for many Q&As. I would like him to join me for another Q&A. I have tried maybe a year or two ago, but I tried. That's what I can say. I tried. Carter Lovejoy. Criterion just announced they're doing 4K. For the first time on 4K will be Citizen Kane, Menace to Society. I love me some Menace to Society. The Piano, Mulholland Drive, The Red Shoes, and A Hard Day's Night. I think Citizen Kane would be kind of cool in 4K. I don't have any urge to rewatch the movie. I probably never will, but as a guy who talks about movies, you're obligated to say, yeah, Citizen Kane is a great movie. In reality, I probably would never watch it again. 12 Angry Men on 4K that would get me excited. Menace to Society, that is an intriguing one they're putting on 4K. Isn't that like the 5 movies you just named there? Like, isn't it interesting they're putting Menace to Society? Now, I love the film though. But yeah, I'm glad Criterion are going to 4K. It seems like the next logical step in evolution, because when it comes to like Criterion movies, like people are like, John, do you buy Criterion movies? No, because they're on 1080p. Like, I want some resolution. So that's good news. That gets me excited. Haloon says, are you a fan of the first Conan with Arnold? I think the second Conan movie is a little bit more exciting and fun to me. That's the one I remember watching most as a kid. I like those movies. I think they're bizarre. Go back and watch the Conan movies. They are bizarre movies. But Arnold never looked more oiled up, ever. And that's what I appreciate about those movies. Bucketeer says, did my mouse just die? Did this fucking mouse just die again? Fucking hate it. I hate this piece of shit mouse. Don't ever buy a Razer Ballistic mouse. I'll tell you that right now, guys. Piece of shit. Razer, if you're watching this, your mouse is a piece of fucking shit. Junk. Fucking junk. All right. I put a new battery in this piece of shit every week. I'm going to throw it against the wall one of these days. Piece of junk. Shit about a Logitech mouse, a real mouse, not this piece of junk. All right, let's go to the next question. I'm sorry. I swear every time I do a live stream, the battery in my mouse dies. I had another mouse years ago. That battery lasted like a year, maybe 2. I don't know, but it didn't die every week like this Razer Ballistic mouse does. And I rarely use this. I don't game with it or anything. Like, fuck. All right. I'm sorry, what was the question? Okay, Bucketeer says, being out of school for a few years, there have been cohorts from your graduation class contacted you. I received a message from a person whom I had no interactions with my whole life and wanted to catch up. Anything random like that happen to you? I usually disassociate with everyone I went to high school with, except for a few close friends. Everyone outside of that just feels like an acquaintance. I mean, there's friends that I have from high school that I sort of like am friends with on Facebook, but outside of that, I have not talked to these people in 15 years. And I'm sure if I did, I'd be like, oh, they're still cool people and whatever. But I don't know. I've sort of gotten to a weird point in my life where I've closed myself off from a lot of people, and I limit the people I interact with. Not because I guess anything's necessarily wrong with them. Something about it kind of overwhelms me deep down inside. Like, I have distant family members who are good people, but I just don't talk to them or see them. And I guess in the grand scheme of it, it doesn't matter. I close myself off from society. So yeah, I've had things like that happen to me. Sure. But I guess you could catch up with these people again, but what's the point? Oh, I haven't seen you in 15 years. Let's talk. Oh, I won't see you for another 15 years. To me, that just sounds like an obligation. Chiggerhers. Is it Chiggers? Chiggers. What's the most you've ever lost in a coin toss? Oh, I've lost a lot in a coin toss. Define a coin toss. Like a real coin toss, or like flip of the coin randomly doing some weird shit in life. So me and my friends, we used to be like little weirdos, and we used to like get so bored, we would literally flip coins, like a quarter, heads or tails, and we would bet like $5 on a coin flip. So I don't know, probably not much, but I have been there. Saga Wine says, thoughts on the career of Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey's made a lot of films I think that are great, like Dumb and Dumber. He's also made a lot of movies I don't care about. I think the guy can act if you put him in the right role. But yeah, I definitely, when it comes to Jim Carrey, I prefer his more comedic roles over his slightly more serious films. He's made a lot of bad movies, like The Number 23 I thought was atrocious. What's funny? I just came across... on one of the streaming services, I came across Yes Man, and I was like looking at it. I was like, essentially the synopsis to Yes Man is just like so borrowed from Liar Liar, except in Liar Liar, like he can't tell a lie, but in Yes Man, he has to say yes to everything. I'm like, this is just the most garbage, like lazy premise movie ever made. Emery M says, I literally have to ask me if I'm going to the reunion. Like, no thanks, I'm not interested. Yeah, I had a high school reunion a couple years ago, and I didn't go, and I don't regret it. But if we had another one, I probably would. Greg Z says, I saw this YouTube video that suggested Signs, The Happening, After Earth was a trilogy. Main connection being the aliens caused the happening, not the plants, and the aliens from Signs were actually engineered like the killer aliens in After Earth. That just hurt my head. Let's see. The Happening, After Earth. I don't care if they are a trilogy. I could care less. Honestly, I don't care. I just don't. My brain doesn't. I don't even care. I've never cared about nothing less in my life. Okay, like those are two terrible M. Night Shyamalan movies. So if they do have some kind of weird loose connection existing in the same universe, okay, I don't care. I'm sorry, I just don't. That made me tired. I guess you could say that every M. Night Shyamalan movie exists in the same universe with some loosey-goosey bullshit connection. Like, you could say that about anything. Unless you're going to come out and connect the dots, I don't care. You hear that? I'm not afraid anymore. All right, the next one comes from... I'm sorry, I have not heard that theory, though. Something about M. Night Shyamalan, though, sort of over it. Sky Denton says, yo, you got an OnlyFans? I don't have an OnlyFans, but I do oil up my pecs on my Patreon, so go check that out. None of that's true. But if you want a really cool podcast, go check it out. Aiden Miles says, hey, John, I know this might be a touchy subject, but can you share with us the fondest memory you had with Tiny Todd? I will just say, if you want to see the fondest memories I've ever had with Tiny Todd, I will say just go watch the best day of my life video right here on this channel, where you see me and Tiny Todd throughout the events of one day. And I will say that was the weirdest video I've ever fucking made, but it's a good video. And if you do watch that video, there's a scene or a clip where Tiny Todd and I are watching what you would think is Silence of the Lambs with Buffalo Bill. And I will tell you this. I was doing the Buffalo Bill impression on the TV that you're hearing. And I think it's the best Buffalo Bill impression I've ever done, because people thought that was actually a clip from the movie. So, little tidbit for you. Sack of Wine says, biggest thing you miss about Ohio? Not, honestly, I would say the biggest thing I miss about Ohio was living, I had an IKEA in my town. And if you ever need like cheap furniture, IKEA is a cool place to go. Other than that, I don't miss a lot about it, to be honest with you. There's a few good restaurants, but other than that, I don't really miss it, to be honest. Dark Moonlight Entertainment says, why is there an Army of the Dead movie universe? You know, I don't know why there is such a thing. I don't know why they're making like a spin-off prequel sequel thing, like about characters that you don't give a shit about cracking a safe. Like, I didn't give a shit about you cracking a safe in the zombie apocalypse in Vegas. I certainly do not give a shit about you cracking a safe before this. So I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. The only thing is, I think Netflix was like, we have a lot of money. Let's throw it at Zack Snyder so he can make underwhelming garbage. So that's what I would say is going on with the Army of the Dead universe, or whatever universe that is. I don't know. I'm sorry. Do I sound like I'm being very negative right now? I just feel like everything's stupid today. All right, let's continue on. But maybe I'm just being realistic. I'm not sure. Will you guys tell me? I don't know. The next one comes from Guy from Kings Highway. I'm going on vacation tomorrow, so I'm donating more than usual to my favorite YouTuber. Well, dude, thank you for that. Well, thanks for that. Where are you? I hope you say where you're going. I'm not going far, but by the beach. You'll be by the beach for a week. I like that you actually give long answers to these questions. Well, thanks, man, and thanks for the questions and just thanks for watching, everyone. That's all I ask. You don't have to super chat. You don't have to. I try to answer as many questions as I can, but all I ask is just watch. But thank you for that. I do try to give good answers to questions. If you guys give me a good question, I will try to give you the best answer I possibly can. I feel like it's the least I can do, and I hate like quick yes or no answers to people's questions. I've never liked that. I like to give you a little substance. If I can give you a good answer, I will definitely do it. Sometimes I don't always have a great answer. Sometimes people ask about a movie that I haven't seen and I don't know what to say, but if I have an answer, I will give you the best answer I possibly can. That's my guarantee to you. That is my promise. That is my commitment. That is my goal. So thank you for the question, and enjoy the beach vacation, man. Just enjoy it, man. Lay in that sand, stare into the sun, not too long because you will go blind, and just ponder your life and enjoy it. It's just moments like that you have to enjoy. Plotted Plant Entertainment says, best Ron Howard film. Ron Howard lately, I'm not a big fan of a lot of his movies because he has this weird color grading thing where he makes all of his movies look green, like Heart of the Sea and Rush. I'm like, what is this shit? It looks green. For me, there might be a Ron Howard movie I'm forgetting. I would probably say Backdraft might be one of my favorites. Didn't he direct Apollo 13? Am I mistaken? But for me, it's definitely Backdraft. I've always really enjoyed Backdraft. Amaria says, laugh a lot. I think the mouse issue triggered you. It does. This piece of shit mouse triggers me when the battery dies every time. It's just like, you can't rely on that. How you gonna have a mouse that just instantly and there's no notification. I don't get a notification. I have the app on my computer. There's no notification saying, oh, your mouse battery's low or something. Piece of shit mouse. Razer, piece of shit. I'm gonna tweet them right now. I got your piece of shit mouse right here. I'm gonna smash it. All right. The next one comes from Scott O. Donachu. Scott O. Donachu? I think I said that wrong, but thank you for the question, Scott. And Scott says, thoughts on The Last of Us HBO show? I'm looking forward to it. Now, I know some people are like scared about it. They don't like some certain things, but I think the casting for me looks okay. They have the little girl from Game of Thrones, which I thought was kind of an odd casting choice. I don't know if that's who I would have went with, but as far as like the Mandalorian himself being cast, he looks the part. I mean, maybe I would have went with somebody more along the lines of Carl Urban or something. That's just me. But I'm excited. I like me a good post-apocalyptic series or movie, and I never played the game, so I think that actually might help me like not know everything going on, which I sort of prefer. So I'm looking forward to it. Brian Donahue says, what is your favorite A24 film? In recent years, Parasite was A24, right? I'd say probably Parasite and The Lighthouse. Parasite was A24, right? Outside of that, I thought Uncut Gems was good. I definitely wouldn't rewatch it anytime soon. I actually prefer Good Time over Uncut Gems. But I would say maybe the most recent one might be like The Lighthouse, yeah. Mike Spoon says, hey, John, hope your week was great. I just want to know if you heard Arnold's thoughts about not getting vaccinated. Saying, screw you, freedom. Screw you, freedom. Do it now. Stick the needle in your arm. I didn't get the shot yet, but I also just got COVID, and I am thankfully was okay. Celebrities need to chill. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't even care either way at this point in life. I'm just like, if COVID kills me, I deserve to die. That's how I look at it. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't laugh at that. But anyway, I just let people share whatever they want. I mean, am I that afraid of it? No. But I'm one of those guys that didn't get the flu shot ever. So I don't know. I just couldn't willingly go do it. I don't know what it is. So yeah, I haven't gotten COVID yet, oddly enough. And I'm surprised I have not. I don't know how I haven't. I just like to say my superior DNA has pushed it off or something. I don't know. Maybe I need to sell my blood to science, because I should have gotten COVID by now. Probably like 12 times. I should be a zombie at this point, but I haven't gotten it, and I don't know why. But I hope you're okay, man. I hope everything turns out well for you. Disaster Artist was A24. Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Okay. Disaster Artist is probably one of my favorite A24 films then. Insert alias here. No one threatens a messenger. This is madness. No, this is Sparta. Did you see my slippers? Did you like those? You'll see those in an upcoming video. It's a sponsored video, but I think you guys will enjoy the video. Yeah, where was I? Oh, by the way, guys, somehow I'm 20 minutes behind. I felt like I was going really quick, but I'm 20 minutes behind on your questions, and I'm doing my best to quickly answer as many as I can, but with substance once again. The next one comes from Mason Arnold. I know you don't want the air cut, but I've read some script leaks today, and Joker does feel a lot different. Joker is much more condescending towards Harley than in the theatrical cut. Also, his dialogue is slightly better. And I get those things. I'm sure it is a better cut, and thank you for that very generous super chat, Mason. But at the same time, I just don't care to watch it. I just really don't care to see the air cut of Suicide Squad. I just don't. I have zero interest in seeing it. I just don't want to. It just feels like it's all for nothing. It's like, here's things that happen, but they don't matter now. So like, what's the point? And even if Jared Leto's Joker is better, it's still not a good take on the character of Joker for me. I don't like watching it. I don't like looking at it. it's off-putting to me. So yeah, I have no interest in seeing an air cut of Suicide Squad. I just don't. I really don't. I have no interest in it. But for years I've read about the deleted scenes that never came out and how there's some storylines that are better, and I'm just like but if the end result is still them fighting Enchantress, I don't give a shit about what happens before that, because the end result is still going to be the end result, right? It's like when the Snyder extended cut of Batman v Superman came out. Was it a better movie? Yes. But was Jesse Eisenberg still fucking Lex Luthor? Yes, he was. So it can only be so much better. But thank you for the question, Mason. Kyle says, honest thoughts on Chipotle, John. Chipotle will churn your insides out and make you shit blood in the toilet. With all that said, occasionally I used to go to Chipotle, but I much prefer a place called Salsa Grill, which has better burritos, but they only exist in Fort Wayne, Indiana. I think if they went to the next big chain of burrito places and people actually tried Salsa Grill and then tried Chipotle, they would throw Chipotle in the trash because that's what it is. Yeah, so, I mean, sometimes, and have you ever been to Chipotle and really looked at it? Like, go down the line where they start making your burrito. All you see is, like, leftover food sitting on, like, the thing where they're making burritos, like old chicken and shit, and it just looks gross, and there's, like, bugs. No, thank you. Michael Parton says, Heavy Metal is one of my favorite edgy animated movies. What are some of yours? Favorite animated movies? Like, edgy animated movies? I'd say The Mask of the Phantasm is one of my favorite animated movies. It just happens to have Batman in it. Now, if we're going like any animated movie, does it have to be edgy? I don't know. I mean, my favorite Disney animated movie of all time is probably like not The Lion King, actually Aladdin. 92's Aladdin and Sword in the Stone. Trying to think of it like an edgy animated movie. Rescuers Down Under. I love it. I don't know if it's edgy, though. I mean, it does involve kidnapping. There's that. Joshua Garrison says, Hey, John, recently I watched Fight Club and loved it. What's your opinion? Oh, dude, that's one of my favorite Fincher films of all times. Bob's Bitch Tits. I would go to that meeting any day of the week just to get close to those bad boys. All snuggled up close. Oh, I'd sleep so good at night, just like Edward Norton's character. I love that movie. I really do. I think it's a great outlook on life. I relate to it maybe a little bit too much, which says a lot about me as a person. But I think that's one of Fincher's like top 3 movies he's ever made. Austin Rash says, Hey, John, you should watch Castlevania on Netflix. It's great. Also, I truly think the Snyder Cut is one of the best comic book movies ever. And that's great. I'm glad you enjoy it. Are we talking about the Snyder Cut of Justice League now? I don't know if it's one of the best comic book movies ever made. I wouldn't say that. I would not say that, actually. I think when it comes to Snyder and comic book movies, I actually think like he did a better job with Watchmen, in all honesty. And I'm not a huge fan of like the Watchmen comics by any means, or the graphic novel, but I just think as a film, something about the production itself even felt like it was more competently made. And Castlevania on Netflix, I don't know anything about it, but I will check into it, man. Thank you for the question. When I think of Castlevania, I think of the video game. Does it have anything to do with the video game Castlevania? Someone said Animatrix for edgy animated movies. 300 was really good. Yeah, 300 based on the graphic novel comic books. Yeah, that's another one of his better comic book movies. I mean, as far as an adaptation goes, I don't think you could complain 300 wasn't like the graphic novel. So, Lord Raddington says, is 25 minutes on an exercise bike good every day? I feel like you would know. I mean, 25 minutes is better than no minutes on an exercise bike, that's for sure. It just really depends. I mean, you can burn so many calories and carbs. I mean, how many do you need to burn? What's your goal? For you, 25 minutes might be super sufficient. For somebody else, they might need an hour. It really depends. I would say it's at least a good start. And it depends how intense you're doing it. I mean, here's the thing about going to the gym and lifting weights. You can go to the gym for 2 hours and not get shit accomplished. You can go to the gym for 45 minutes and get more accomplished than someone would in 3 hours, depending on your work ethic, the way you work out, your routine, what you're doing. So for me, I go to the gym and I can weightlift for 45 minutes. I'm profusely sweating. My muscles are sore. I'm good. That's all I need because I go with intensity, integrity, and I utilize some intelligence. Those are the 3 I's. So, it just really depends on your goals. For me, 45 minutes in the gym. If I superset and I don't stop, I don't sit there and text on my phone in between sets. I just go. That's all I've ever needed. Sometimes if I'm feeling a little bit frisky and the middle music's kicking in and the pre-workout's really juicing up my veins, I might stay there a little bit longer to get a better pump. But 45 minutes to an hour is typically all you need. 25 minutes on a cardio bike, I would say that's pretty good. Sack of Wine says, sorry if this is personal, but why couldn't you take Puzzy? Puzzy was not my dog. It was sort of like my adopted dog child. I would take Puzzy, but Puzzy was not my dog. So, James Dosier says, thoughts on The Running Man? I like me The Running Man. I think The Running Man would lend itself to a good reboot. I think you could make a great Running Man movie, like a modern day Running Man movie, as long as you didn't take it too serious. I think that would be a great movie to reboot. As long as you bring back the yellow spandex. Let's see. And we have 359 of you beautiful people watching right now, so thank you for that. All right, the next question comes from Azim the Dream Reviews. I just got back from the Universal Studios Orlando about a month ago. Who did you go with, and what were some of your favorite rides? Will we get a vlog? Yeah, I talked about that earlier. So yeah, it was fun. My favorite ride was, hang on, new Harry Potter ride, Universal. What is the new ride called? What the fuck? Hagrid's. Hagrid's Magical Creatures Motorbike Adventure. What a long title. I think the Hagrid ride was my favorite ride at Universal. It's a newer ride, really awesome, really fun roller coaster. And the coolest thing about it was you don't just sit in like a cart. Like in normal roller coasters, you get strapped in, you're in a seat like this. On the Hagrid ride, you're actually setting up on top of a motorcycle, holding onto the handles, and it makes it that much more intense. So I really enjoyed that. I think that would be my favorite ride there. Also, I enjoyed the other Harry Potter ride in the alleyway or whatever it's called. But I'm one of those guys. I enjoy the older nostalgic rides at Universal, and those are slowly fading away because a long time ago they got rid of the Jaws ride, they got rid of the Back to the Future ride, and they still have the E.T. ride at Universal, and I highly recommend going on the E.T. ride because it's one of the first rides they ever had there. And when you go through it, it's like all these old 1980s effects, but I love that. Something about that just takes me to a happy place. And the E.T. ride is so it's the weirdest shit ever. Because then at one point you go to like E.T.'s homeland, and it's just like you're like tripping out on acid, it feels like. It's so magical. I highly recommend it. So... But also, Universal has this the new King Kong ride, which is really bad. It's just not fun because you sit on this thing. It's sort of like an old bus you're sitting in, and it has these hard seats, like these bench seats. And essentially, you're looking at like these projector screens on the left and right of you, and it's just shaking back and forth. But it just hurts your ass the whole time. And then at the very end of the ride, there's like this animatronic King Kong, but it's like, it just feels like a big waste of money. I don't know why they made it. But yeah, it was a fun few days. I only went to the park one day. I didn't have much time. Middle Mendez says, bigger endorphins rush, solid curl set, or dissecting Huey Lewis and the News album Sports. Dissecting Huey Lewis and you mean like killing someone to listening to Huey Lewis and the News? It depends who I'm hitting in the head with an axe, I suppose. But I will say, for legality reasons, because the authorities are watching right now, I think getting a good pump doing curls is much more funner than inviting someone over to your apartment, listening to 80s music, and laying down some newspapers on the floor while I put on a raincoat and dance around with an axe in my hand. Yeah, curls are so much more fun. God. I like to dissect girls. Did you know I'm utterly insane? Flix Games and Sex Tips. That's a great name. What are some places you thought about moving to? Years ago, I thought about moving to LA because I thought it would be good for my YouTube career. But then I further thought about living in LA, and there's nothing that really gets me excited. I mean, sure, I could go to like some press events and have some cool opportunities, but at the end of the day, I'm in LA. I thought about moving to Vegas a couple years ago, believe it or not. I actually did look into it. Vegas kind of felt like a city I should live in. You know, it's a city for night owls. Nothing ever closes. The weather would always be nice. It's oddly affordable to move to, which is sort of surprising. And I thought about moving there. The only thing was I didn't really know anyone there, and it was kind of, I don't know. So yeah, you know, there's been a lot of random places I thought about moving to, but for some odd reason, I just stay in the Midwest. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I generally like where I live right now. I do not like the winter. That's really the only big detriment to where I live. All right, the next one comes from John Ordolaza. Ordolaza or Ordolaza? John, let me answer your question. Sup, John? Working overtime at my shitty 7-Eleven job tonight. Well, stay safe, man, and go drink a slushie on me. Have you seen Ted Lasso? I think everyone can take something away from that amazing show. I have not seen Ted Lasso. Ted Lasso? Why do I not know what this is? Let's type it into the Google machine. Oh, with Jason Sudeikis. Oh, it's on Apple. See, it's on the Apple TV. That's why I've never seen. I don't have Apple TV, so I have not seen it. But nevertheless, man, good luck at your job tonight, man. Please go get a large slushie on me. Sip it slowly. And thank you for the question. Yemen John, how's it going, Yemen? The Rundown, hands down, the best action movie The Rock has ever done. I agree, and I have always said that. The action sequences are well choreographed, especially with The Rock fighting the rebels in the jungle. I agree. That's a movie that still sort of stands the test of time. It's one of the better action movies with The Rock that feels like it has a little bit of substance. Where The Rock's playing The Rock, but like at least the storyline's vaguely like sort of interesting. You have Sean William Scott in the movie when he still had an acting career in Hollywood. And it has Christopher Walken in the movie. You know, Rock, this jungle is a crazy place. That's all I'm going to say. So yeah, I do enjoy The Rundown. Peter Berg, one of his better movies he's ever directed too. Thank you for the question. Bruce Cook says, John, in talking about great bad movies, you never mention Irwin Allen's The Swarm. It's in a class all by itself. I don't think I've seen The Swarm. I don't think I've seen it. Is that one of those movies that's just purposely bad, like Birds? Because I just can't watch movies like that. Now, if a movie tries to be something, if they truly thought they were making a good movie, that's the bad movie I want to watch. Like The Fanatic, which I own on Blu-ray back there. I could watch it right now. Cordless Cordy says, oh my God, I just saw my favorite film of 2021 called 9 Days with Winston Duke. It's such a beautiful film, must-watch film of the year. Had me in tears. What's it called? 9 Days? Let's Google that. "9 Days." A man interviews 5 unborn souls to determine which one can be given life on Earth. That's interesting. Huh. It's got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 7.6 on IMDb. The premise sounds interesting. Okay. I still need to see Pig with Nicolas Cage. That is the next movie I really want to see. All right. Billy M says, my son is bad. I'll take him out to the woods and have my son chase the dog and then speed away in hopes that he is too dumb to find his way home. Yeah, like I said, if your children don't appreciate quality cinema, you need to abandon your children. That's always been my recommendation. But yeah, I don't know. Can I tell you my biggest fear in life? First of all, the biggest fear for everyone should be me reproducing. Fear number one for society. Fear number two for myself is having a kid who doesn't like movies or doesn't appreciate good movies. And I just know deep down inside I'm going to have a kid who's really disappointing. And what I mean by that is I'm going to have one of those kids that's like, oh, I like Terminator Genesis and Dark Fate. T2 is kind of boring. I know I'm going to have one of those kids. I feel it in my, I just know it's going to happen to me. It'll be my curse that haunts me. Anyway, good luck with your kids. The Archinator 22 says, what is your favorite Arnold quote apart from I'll be back? Mine is, haha, you think this is real, Quaid? It is. Had to ask since Arnie was mentioned. I would probably say if we're going to go with something off the cuff, I'd say, screw you! That's one. I mean, put the cookie down! I would say those are two. Get to the choppa is always one. That's always favorite. I know there's a few random ones I'm always forgetting. But put the cookie down. I mean, that you could use that anywhere in life, and it'll just make sense. Funny Hal says, hey, John, I mentioned before how I'm a police officer and my job just seems to get more stressful. Your videos always make my day better. Anyway, what is your favorite dark, gritty movie that isn't Nightcrawler or Laugh Out Loud? Well, good luck out there, man, and stay safe. I will say my favorite dark and gritty movie, and this is the kind of the movie that makes you feel icky inside, but it's definitely dark and gritty. And it makes you hate society, and it makes you look at people with distrust and disdain, like I typically do, because whenever I go out into society and I meet someone, like a nice old man, I think deep down inside he has someone trapped in his basement that he tortures every night. That's what I think about. So when it comes to movies like this, I think some of you might guess where I'm going with this, but I'm going to say a dark and gritty movie. I'm going to give you two. One is 8mm starring Nicolas Cage. The premise alone is the most disgusting thing you'll ever see. The second movie is Silence of the Lambs. Once again, I just assume everyone has someone trapped down in their basement when I meet them. I'm just putting it out there. So, yeah, go watch 8mm if you've never seen it. Great Nicolas Cage movie, and an underrated movie no one talks about. It's not a tumor. Yeaman John says, thoughts on your wife, Margot Robbie's career so far? I mean, I wish. Margot Robbie, though, is a gift that Hollywood has given all of us. I will say, I think as far as her career goes, she had an iconic comic book character, Harley Quinn. I don't think you could ask for a better adaptation of Harley Quinn. Wolf of Wall Street was my introduction to Margot Robbie. Thank you, Martin Scorsese. I mean, what can you really say? I mean, she's had a great career so far. I mean, if I was directing a movie and I needed an attractive blonde lady who could act, I'd probably cast Margot Robbie. The next one comes from just JDD24. Aside from the pigeon lady, what movie scenes can you not watch while you eat? Let's go back to Silence of the Lambs. I cannot watch Silence of the Lambs as I eat. Every time I think about Silence of the Lambs, I think how much I don't ever want to eat a bologna sandwich. So Silence of the Lambs, I would say. Yeah. Yeaman John says, if The Rock is the Arnold of our generation, he really needs to make a Predator or T2. Sorry, Arnie. He's not have... sorry, Arnie, he's not have fun yet. The way you pass the torch in the Rundown cameo. Yeah, I've been saying that about The Rock for a while. He needs something with substance. He needs like a great iconic role rather than just playing generic action guy generic lead action guy in some like forgettable Hollywood bland script. He needs something more pivotal. He needs like that rated R gritty action film that only The Rock could do. I mean, like I've said before, like you just said, Terminator. Who else could play the Terminator besides Arnold? No one. Who else could play in Predator besides Arnold as the lead role? No one. Maybe Stallone, but I think Arnold was the better choice. But with all that said, that's what The Rock needs to do. Someone needs to write that man a great script and have him star in it. And I don't know why that has not happened yet. It baffles me. Potted Plant Entertainment says, which is worse, Cats or The Room? I think Cats is probably worse. Yes, that's more nightmare fuel. The Room is at least entertaining. Cats is just like, here's a joke. It's scary. It's weird. It's bizarre, but you don't want to watch it again. Oh, someone said watch Gummo and eat spaghetti. Yeah, I forgot Gummo existed. That is the weirdest fucking movie ever, and I love it. There's like a scene where the little kid's eating spaghetti in the bathtub and his mom's like washing his armpits. And then he goes down into his basement and he starts doing curls with forks and spoons. He's literally he's fucking curling forks and spoons, man. Oh God, I forgot Gummo existed. Fuck. Oh God, that's such a good movie. Oh, that's good stuff. Go watch Gummo. Levi Fisher says, would you rather spend the day with Lou Bloom, Lincoln Hawk, or Patrick Bateman, Nightcrawler, Over the Top, American Psycho? I feel like me and Patrick Bateman would have a lot in common, but I also feel like Lou Bloom and I would have a lot in common. I appreciate Lou Bloom's work ethic. He's a man willing to do whatever it takes to achieve his goals. I appreciate that. Sometimes the ends justify the means. I've always stood by that. Patrick Bateman and I think we could have a good conversation about 80s music, but I think Lincoln Hawk, if we were just cruising around in his semi-truck all day, like doing bicep curls, I think that'd be a great day. So, you know what? Any of those sound great to me. Forbidden Fruit 73 says, thoughts on The Crow? I like The Crow. I've never been one of the diehard fans of The Crow. I know it has like a huge cult following. For me, I was like, it's okay. I just like, it's not like my go-to movie by any means. Like I remember watching it for the first time as a kid on HBO and thinking, this is cool and dark and gritty, but I've just never been a huge diehard fan of it. Yeaman John says, I'm sorry, but Daniel Day-Lewis films are all one watch at best for me. My Left Foot, There Will Be Blood, Lincoln, Age of Innocence, I have no desire on watching them again. I would disagree on some of those. I will say There Will Be Blood I've watched multiple times, and I will say it's one of those movies I appreciated the more I watched it. I will say another film that you could watch more than once with Daniel Day-Lewis would probably be the Martin Scorsese film, Gangs of New York. I've watched that a few times. I think he gives the best performance in the film as Bill the Butcher. Last of the Mohicans I've seen once. But yeah, I would say there's a few Daniel Day-Lewis films you can watch more than once. I just wish he would star in more movies. He's very selective. Insert alias here says, Werner Herzog arguing with Arnold, go. I don't think I have it in me to give it to you, man. I don't think I have that one in me. But that just reminded me of something. Hang on. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't have a good impression to give you for that. My apologies. The next one comes from Sack of Wine. Thoughts on Kuomo stepping down? I don't know who the fuck Kuomo. I don't know who the fuck Kuomo is, man. Who Kuomo? What is this, random word day? Cuomo? Oh, Andrew Cuomo. Okay, you gotta say first names. Okay. American, yeah, I don't know. I don't keep up with politics, nor do I care. What did he step down? Oh, the governor's sexual assault harassment scandal. Is that news to anyone? Politicians are disgusting pieces of trash human beings. I mean, they should be lynched publicly once a day for their crimes against humanity. I think politicians are dirty, scummy. 98% of them are. There's a few good ones out there that actually want to make a change. But, like, is this news to anyone? I mean, not only should he be stepped down, he should be taken out to a public square and stoned. So, yeah, that's what I think. I didn't know who you were talking about at first. I was like, what? Yeaman John says, can you do a James Dean impression? His most famous quotes are, "You're tearing me apart," or "I'm rich, boy, a darn thing you can't do about it." I don't really have a good James Dean impression for you. I'm sorry. I don't think I've ever done one. Maybe a Marlon Brando impression, but a James Dean impression, I don't think I have one. So I'm not going to embarrass myself with one. I'm sorry. Now, Tommy Wiseau impression saying "you're tearing me apart," that's something else. Scott Torres says, F, marry, kill, Harley Quinn, Wonder Woman, Ratcatcher. I'd probably kill Ratcatcher. I'd probably marry Wonder Woman and have a good time with Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn, I'd be afraid she'd kill me in my sleep. That's why I wouldn't marry her. Lucas Bernowskowitz said, did you hear about what happened to Bob Odenkirk? I did hear that he had a heart attack, which is really unfortunate. I've heard he's okay, though, so that's good. I hope he's okay, and I can't wait to see a new season of Better Call Saul, which is truly the most underrated series I've ever... Like, no one talks about Better Call Saul, which baffles me, because people talk about all this other junk on TV. I'm like, have you watched the good show, like Better Call Saul? So I actually think I secretly might enjoy Better Call Saul more than Breaking Bad. I think it's one of those shows that got better with each season. The next one comes from... It's coming from somebody. Lucas Bernal... no. Argal says, just watch Mulholland Drive. What a mine F. Do you have any favorite movies where you are saying what the F by the end? Lately, no. I'm trying to think of a movie that had like a twist or a turn that blew me away recently. Oh, yeah, Parasite. I would say Parasite was the last movie that, by the end of the movie, it became something else, but I was very happy with what it became. I was like, that went a different direction I was not expecting, and the direction was, like, earned, and it was, like, fulfilling, and it wasn't just like, here's a twist for the sake of a twist. It's like, here's another, like, it's almost like a different movie, but it's justified and they set it up appropriately. So I would say Parasite, when it comes to like sort of a twist ending third act, would be the last one that blew me away. Yeaman John says, John, quote Arnie lines from Last Action Hero, no sequel for you. You want to be a farmer, here are a couple acres. Rubber baby bumpers. I just like the part where he says, where he kills the guy with an ice cream cone. He goes, what does he say? Go in the phrase or something. But my favorite part in Last Action Hero is where he goes up to the villain of the movie and he's like, this is for blowing up my ex-wife's house. And he takes his hand and he slaps it. And then he's like, here's for giving my daughter a black eye. And he punches him across the room. I've done that multiple times. If someone does something like stupid and they like insult me or do something, I always go up to them and I take their hand and I say, I slap their hand like that. Daddy! So let's just keep going. By the way, Last Action Hero, that was a movie ahead of its time. I think if audiences could go back and revisit that movie today, they'd appreciate it more than they ever have. Upshot Music TV says, hope you're doing well, Johnny. Since you like Kick-Ass, what are your thoughts on Super, another underrated James Gunn film? I saw Super once. I thought it was okay. I don't think it's like a movie I love by any means. I get it. I think Kick-Ass is a much superior film, just as far as like a story goes. Something about Super felt like it was trying too hard to be like offensively comedic, and that's coming from me. But yeah, not one of my favorite movies. And that's sort of what it felt like in Suicide Squad at times. I felt like he was just like trying a little too hard. Adrian Lomelli. Thoughts on The Lost Boys, one of LJ's best films. Oh, or JS's best film. Joel Schumacher's best films. My God, I cannot abbreviate. Yeah. I would say it's one of the quintessential weird 80s movies of all time, where you have the young Coreys in the movie. And it has like weird undertones of vampires. I mean, just the opening scene alone with the greased up, buffed out saxophone guy. Like, it's just like, you can't put that in movies nowadays. You can't do weird stuff like that. And by the way, that guy's still going. But yeah, Lost Boys was great, man. It was never one of my like favorite 80s movies as a kid. But it's a damn good movie. I think it's just something about the tone of the movie. Just like, it's so perfectly like captures what it needs to be. It's weird. But yeah, Lost Boys, good stuff. For me, when it comes to Joel Schumacher films, I think Falling Down and 8mm may be my two favorites of his. And he did a few other movies. My brain's not remembering right now that were pretty decent. But those would be my two favorites. Insert alias here says, John versus technology tonight, we dine in hell. John versus his Razer mouse where the battery dies every 12 minutes. And I hope that this mouse burns in hell. Luis Cortez says, I got Arnold and Dwayne Johnson signed up. Give me your pitch for the perfect Predator sequel. Well, Luis, here it goes off the top of my head. What we're going to do is we're going to keep the premise simple. The Predators still need a group of mercenary badasses to overcome and challenge themselves, but we're actually going to go and learn more about the Predators. We're going to learn more about their backstory. We're not going to have super predators in this film, but I would like the first part of the film to take place on Earth. Arnold will definitely be there. In what capacity, I'm not quite sure. If he wants to have a large role in the film, Arnold can be there as part of the group. That is fine by me. A group of tough badasses? Absolutely. But I think what we should have is The Rock is essentially the new version of Arnold in the film. But what they do is they go back and they're getting these weird signals. There's been rumors and ramblings of like something of these events that took place in the 80s and the events that happened with Danny Glover in the city. But they've never truly been brought to fruition. So The Rock is like sort of investigating this, and they go to Arnold, who was there, and it's all confidential information by this point, and they utilize him as sort of like I don't know where I'm going with this. Can we just have The Rock and Arnold team up and fight a fucking predator? And I don't care where it takes place. That sounds good to me. I'm sure if you gave me 2 hours, I could write the script for the movie, and it would be better than The Predator, and it'd probably be better than half the Rock movies that have ever come out. Actually, it would be better than any Rock movie that's ever come out. But thank you for the question, Lewis. Yeah, I know there's a new Predator movie coming out, and I have no faith in it. I just expect to be disappointed. It takes place in the past, the new Predator movie. That would be fine. Yeah, the thing with Arnold was like, if I was going to make a new Predator movie, I think a Predator movie that takes place in like the 90s would be cool. But Arnold's like, I want Arnold in the movie, so I don't, unless you do some kind of weird de-aging effect, I don't know. Peacemaker says, favorite adult film category. Can you do a Jim Carrey Grinch impression? No, I cannot. I would say anything with pizza delivery is always a good time. And it's coming from a guy who delivered pizzas. So yeah, I would go with that. Austin Wagner says, opinions on Disturbia with Shia LaBeouf. Just watched it an hour ago and really enjoyed it. Also watched Jurassic Park series. Favorite besides the first. Disturbia is a fun movie. What I enjoy most about Disturbia is like the first half of the movie. Typically, I'm always like this. I like the first half of a lot of movies, and when the movie actually has to like make sense, and they have to have like the climax, and it becomes like this typical formula where they just blah 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 blah, and then you have to end the movie. That's where it starts getting a little boring to me. But the first half of Disturbia, where he gets in trouble and he's like on house arrest. I love all of that stuff. And then where he starts like he starts investigating his neighbor for a murder. That's okay. Then the third act, I'm not a fan of. But if they could have just made a movie about a kid on house arrest, hanging out all day, That to me sounds like a really interesting movie. I don't know why, but that premise alone intrigues me. And as far as Jurassic Park movies, I would say The Lost World would probably be my favorite, besides the first movie. And so after I went to Universal Studios last weekend, I've had such an urge to watch Jurassic Park again, and I have not set up my 4K Blu-ray player over there yet to do it, and it's not and it's not streaming anywhere, but I've had such an urge to rewatch Jurassic Park since going to Universal Studios. Someone said, how about Predator during World War II? That could be interesting. Damn5271 says, thoughts on string cheese as a snack. It looks like it looks like such a man-made product. It almost doesn't look like you should eat it. Like something about cheese that squirts out of a can. Don't you think that's an odd concept? John, you missed my super chat about Killer Croc. Well, Mason, let me find it. Here it is. Mason Arnold says, another thing about the error cut I discovered is that Killer Croc was... Killer Croc was hiring Deadshot to bring him his meals? What? I don't get that. Oh, so okay, now I get it. Okay, so Killer Croc would hire Deadshot to kill people to bring him food? That would be like an extra little tidbit? Okay, I mean, I always thought Killer Croc was capable of murdering people for himself and eating them in the sewers under Gotham City. I liked the way Killer Croc looked in David Ayer Suicide Squad. I thought the prosthetics were cool. The actor they got to play him was the same actor that was in like the Oz TV show and the Return of the Mummy or whatever. But sort of disappointing. I'm beautiful. Like, ugh. But thank you for the question, Mason. I'm sorry I missed it. And thank you for the other super chat telling me I missed your question. I'm sorry. But thanks, Mason. Yeaman John says, please react to Kevin Bacon JFK fascism. Fascism is coming back scene on the YouTube is awesome. I don't feel like watching it right now. What is it? Kevin Bacon JFK? I don't know what that is. I'm sorry. I don't know what that is. Sacco Wine says, can you do a Morgan Freeman impression of a ride operator at Universal? Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Jurassic Park ride. If you tuck your arms and feet in, the dinosaurs won't eat them. Please no flash photography. I don't know. I did have my camera out on the Jurassic Park ride, and they literally came over the announcement and said, "No cameras, please." So, I don't know. You either get busy riding, or you get busy dying. Insert alias here says, worst thing you've seen as a delivery guy to do to pizza. Worst thing I've seen a delivery guy do to pizza? I've never seen anyone purposely do anything terrible to a pizza, but with all that said, I've seen some gross shit. And that's why I typically don't order delivery unless I have to. So I've seen like delivery guys that were kind of like dirty and they had like dirty hands counting money. They'd come in from like a delivery, not wash their hands, walk right over to the pizza, scoop it into the box, throw some cups of garlic and cheese in there, start cutting it. And like the cutter that we use, the rolling cutter that we use to cut pizza, like we put it in this little thing and use it, and it just got used all day, and it was like so dirty and gross, and it had like gunks of old cheese on it. Hell, just shit like that. I did know one pizza delivery driver, and he pretty much said to me, he's like, if people don't tip me, you don't want to know the things I do to their pizza when I'm alone in the car. And I'm like, oh, I understand. I never understood how you could not tip a delivery driver. Like, you got to have some balls on you not to do that. Like, keep in mind, these are the people that are handling your food. Why would you upset this person? Why would you, like, this is the person that has your food in their car alone for the next 10 minutes, and then they hand it to you, and you eat it. That's a lot of faith in humanity, and I just simply do not have it anymore. Churgiz, I can never say your name right. What are some ideas you've had for movies? I had a few ideas for like a heist movie. It was sort of like a kid in like college or high school that had to get money for his family. Maybe there was like a terminal illness in the family. They needed money for something. And this kid had seen one too many heist movies. So it's sort of like a dark comedy heist movie. That was one idea I had. Stephanie Meyer says, in your opinion, who has a better movie resume? Robert De Niro, Tom Hanks, or Daniel Day-Lewis? I'd probably say... I would say Tom Hanks. I think when you look at the spectrum of actually different caliber of like comedy, drama, action, I think Tom Hanks. If I had to pick, I mean, Tom Hanks was Forrest Gump. He was in Saving Private Ryan. He was in a ton of great comedy movies. I think Tom Hanks overall. And he's like the most likable actor on the planet. So, yeah, I would say Tom Hanks has the most range. Daniel Day-Lewis has given some great performances. He just has not given enough for me. Just JDD24 says, recently watched the Sean Penn Bad Boys film. Ooh, that's a good movie. Thought it was really good. Soda beatdown scene was good, but my favorite part was the final fight at the end. That has to be one of Sean Penn's best performances. Yeah, I think Bad Boys, not with Will Smith and Martin Lawrence, but Bad Boys with Sean Penn, where he goes to like this kiddie prison as a teenager. That's a gritty movie. So yeah, I really enjoy it. It's just one of those 80 movies. It's just dark and seedy, and it's just like they would never make a movie like that again. So yeah, highly recommend it. David Code says, philosophical question of the night, laugh out loud. Worst movie, Halloween Resurrection or Jaws the Revenge? At least Jaws the Revenge has a shark in it. That's the best answer I can give you for that. I mean, it's like picking, do you want to be hit in the head with a baseball bat or a hockey stick? You know, like which one would you rather be hit in the head with? But I would say at least one has a shark in it, and I like sharks. Thank you for the question, David. Mike Spoon says, what was some of your favorite moments from Suicide Squad? Nom, nom, nom. What was your favorite snacks or beverages? Love you, man. Favorite snacks or beverages? I like chocolate covered peanuts with a large Diet Coke when I go see a movie. Favorite scene, favorite moment from Suicide Squad? I'd say anything with, I'd say my favorite scene was in the first act of the movie. And this isn't really a spoiler, but there's a scene where Bloodsport and Peacemaker are trying to one-up each other with how they execute these people in this village. And I thought that was like one of the better scenes in the movie. I thought that was fun. That was a lot of fun. Just murdering innocent people. Such a good time. I love it. All right, guys, I'm going to answer just a few more questions because I am kind of hungry. I have one more sip of this left. And I need to edit something. So I'm going to answer just a few more questions. And I'm going to wrap up this live show. Hagulera1723 says, hey, John, best movies are movies involving airplanes, new or old. I'm going to go with Con Air. I'm going to go with the other movie, Alive, which was about a plane crash on this snowy mountain type where people have to resort to cannibalism based on a true story. But I'm probably going to say Con Air when it comes to airplane movies. I mean, how do you top Con Air? I can't think of anything more interesting that's happened on an airplane in the history of ever besides Con Air. That's my answer, Con Air. Thoughts on Brendan Fraser coming back for Martin Scorsese's new movie? Oh, Brendan Fraser is one of the most likable, cool guys. Like, he just comes across like a genuine dude. Like, everyone's rooting for him to have a comeback, and I get it. Like, the guy's a good actor. He had a tough time. If you look at his personal life, it's like, I feel sorry for the guy. Yeah, I hope he makes a comeback. I would like to see him in more movies. He just has this like honesty and likability about him. So yeah, I hope he does make a comeback. Snakes on a Plane, I'm going to disagree with that. I think the right answer was Con Air. All right. Someone said Sugarheads is offering $2 for your intellectual properties. That's funny. Yeah, I'm just giving you my movie idea pitches, and you can steal them for $2. That's fine, though. You can have them. Just JDD24 says, favorite cameo from Bruce Campbell in the Raimi Spider-Man trilogy. Wasn't he the announcer during the wrestling scene in the first Spider-Man movie? 5 minutes with Bonesaw. Yeah, just I don't know. I can't remember the other cameos that he had. Probably that one, I guess, where he plays the announcer. I don't know. That's my favorite scene in the first Spider-Man movie, though, when Spider-Man's wrestling Macho Man Randy Savage, or Bonesaw as they call him. Everyone said De Niro is the better actor or better performances. I just feel like De Niro always kind of plays De Niro. I mean, outside of Taxi Driver and a few other roles, I think Tom Hanks has done more movies I enjoyed him in than De Niro. Like, don't get me wrong, De Niro and Taxi Driver, De Niro and Goodfellas or Casino, great. But I'm trying to think of a lot of other movies I loved De Niro in. Do you like The Long Kiss Goodnight with Samuel L. Jackson? I was just telling someone the other day to go watch The Long Kiss Goodnight. Yeah, that's sort of a movie no one talks about with Gina Davis. I think that was a good movie. Chad Hagen, thoughts on Christian Bale's Equilibrium. Sort of an underrated movie that needed a little bit more money because at times it sort of felt like the people behind it were definitely inspired by The Matrix. And sometimes when you're watching Equilibrium, it gets a little, it has a little bit of a cheapness to it, but I like it. I love Christian Bale in the movie. I think the ending twist of the movie is a little hard to chew. Like, I was like, I don't quite buy that, but everything leading up to it, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I think Christian Bale was the best part about that movie. Equilibrium is a good movie. It really is. I used to have the steelbook of it, or the DVD steelbook or something a long time ago. But I've always enjoyed it. It's one of those movies I didn't watch until like the mid 2000s for the first time. All right, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up there. But no more questions. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me, asking questions, just watching me talk for 2 hours. Thank you. I know it's hard, but I hope you were mildly entertained. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. I will try to do another live stream in a few more days. Favorite King Shark scene? That comes from Darkside Master. I would say Hand. I don't know. I liked the I liked the scene at the end of the movie. It almost had a Thor Ragnarok vibe, but when they're fighting the giant monster creature, he just jumps up at it. It reminded me of Hulk in Thor Ragnarok, where he jumps up at Ragnarok or whatever. Maybe those. Okay, guys, I'm gonna wrap it up there. I'm literally about to pass out now. So anyway, as always, guys, thanks for hanging out, asking the questions. Just sticking around. Thank you guys so much. So yeah, have a good night. Stay safe, everyone. And I guess sleep tight. Does that sound weird? As always, take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.